It was a typical Monday afternoon. Delta Airlines Flight 4819 cruised at 30,000 feet. The flight, operated by Delta subsidiary Endeavour Air, was en route from Minneapolis to Toronto. On board were 76 passengers and 4 crew members, a mix of business travelers, families, and individuals returning home. Anticipation for landings filled the cabin. The flight had been smooth. Little did anyone know that in a matter of minutes, their lives would be forever changed. The Bombardier CRJ-900, a familiar sight in North American skies, began its descent into Toronto Pearson International Airport. The sun was shining, a few clouds dotted the sky. Inside the aircraft, passengers felt the familiar shift as the plane tilted downward, preparing for its final approach. Conversations continued, some read books, others gazed out the window, eager to catch a glimpse of the approaching cityscape. Then, without warning, the plane jolted violently. Passengers were thrown forward, screams erupted throughout the cabin. The sense of normalcy evaporated, replaced by sheer terror as the plane hit the runway with a deafening crash. The impact sent a shockwave through the aircraft, tossing luggage from overhead bins and sending passengers sprawling. In those heart-stopping moments, the unimaginable had become all too real. Flight 4819 had crashed. The initial impact was just the beginning. The force of the crash ripped through the plane's fuselage, tearing a gash in the side. Passengers were thrown about like rag dolls, their cries of fear and confusion echoing through the shattered cabin. The plane, its landing gear apparently failing, skidded along the runway, sending sparks flying. The sickening screech of metal grinding against asphalt filled the air. As the plane careened out of control, it veered sharply to the right, its momentum carrying it off the runway and onto the grassy area that bordered the tarmac. The impact with the soft ground provided little relief. The plane lurched violently once more, finally coming to a stop on its belly, its nose pointing back towards the runway it had just departed. Inside the cabin, the scene was one of utter chaos. Despite the disorientation and fear that gripped the passengers and crew, amidst the wreckage and the darkness, acts of incredible courage began to unfold. Pete Carlson, a passenger and a trained paramedic, sprang into action. Despite his own injuries, he ignored the throbbing pain in his arm and the blood trickling down his forehead. His training kicked in, overriding the shock and adrenaline coursing through his veins. He knew that every second counted. Carlson moved quickly through the overturned cabin, assessing injuries and offering words of comfort to his fellow passengers. He helped to free those trapped by debris, his calm demeanor a beacon of hope in the darkness. He worked tirelessly, using his limited medical supplies to treat cuts, bruises, and more serious injuries. His actions, driven by a selfless desire to help others, would later be hailed as heroic. Another passenger, Sarah Thompson, a young woman traveling alone, found herself next to a terrified elderly couple. Despite her own fear, Sarah reached out, taking their hands and offering words of reassurance. She helped them to unbuckle their seatbelts and guided them through the darkness towards the emergency exit. Even in the face of unimaginable danger, human kindness and compassion shone through. Initial reports suggested that strong winds and drifting snow may have played a role in the crash. Witnesses described seeing gusts of wind buffeted the plane as it made its final approach. The airport had been experiencing some delays and cancellations due to recent winter storms, and concerns were immediately raised about the impact of weather on the runway conditions. However, the fire chief, speaking at a press conference later that day, clarified that the runway itself was dry at the time of the crash. He stated that there was no crosswind, contradicting earlier reports. This information added a new layer of mystery to the investigation. If weather wasn't a factor, what could have caused the experienced pilots to lose control of the aircraft during such a routine landing? Section 5. The aircraft, a history of Delta Flight 4819. The aircraft involved in the crash was a Bombardier CRJ-900, a twin-engine regional jet known for its reliability and safety record. Operated by Endeavour Air, a wholly owned subsidiary of Delta Airlines, the plane had been in service for approximately 16 years. It had undergone regular maintenance checks, and there were no known mechanical issues prior to the crash. The CRJ-900, a popular choice for short-haul flights, had a solid safety record with only a handful of minor incidents reported in its history. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, which acquired the CRJ program from Bombardier in 2020, issued a statement expressing their concern and offering their full cooperation with the investigation. The company stressed that the safety of their aircraft was their top priority. Section 6. Toronto Pearson in disarray. The crash of Delta Flight 4819 sent shockwaves through Toronto Pearson International Airport, Canada's largest and busiest airport. The incident triggered an immediate emergency response. Sirens wailed as fire trucks, ambulances, and police vehicles raced towards the crash site, their flashing lights illuminating the chaos. The airport, already bustling with activity, was thrown into disarray. 2 of the airport's 5 runways were immediately closed as emergency crews worked tirelessly to secure the crash site and attend to the injured. Departing flights were grounded, and arriving flights were diverted to other airports, causing significant disruptions to air travel throughout the region. The airport's public address system crackled with announcements, urging passengers to remain calm and to check the status of their flights. Section 7. Investigating the unexplained. As the dust settled and the initial shock subsided, attention turned to the crucial task of determining what had caused the crash. The Transportation Safety Board of Canada, the agency responsible for investigating aviation accidents in Canada, immediately dispatched a team of investigators to the scene. They were joined by representatives from the U.S. National Transportation Safety Board, as the aircraft was registered in the United States. The investigators, highly trained professionals with years of experience, faced a daunting task. They would spend countless hours meticulously combing through the wreckage, analyzing data from the plane's flight recorders, the so-called black boxes, and interviewing witnesses, including passengers, crew members, and air traffic controllers. Their goal: to piece together the events that led to the crash, and to prevent similar incidents from happening in the future. Section 8. The aftermath and the road to recovery. In the aftermath of the crash, the world watched in awe and relief as news spread that all 80 passengers and crew members had survived. It was nothing short of a miracle. The survivors, physically shaken but remarkably resilient, were transported to a nearby Sheraton hotel, where they received medical attention, counseling, and support from Delta's incident response team. The crash served as a stark reminder of the fragility of life and the unpredictable nature of air travel. It also highlighted the incredible skill and dedication of first responders, medical professionals, and aviation investigators who worked tirelessly to ensure the safety of the flying public. For the survivors, the road to recovery would be long and arduous, marked by both physical and emotional scars. Yet, amidst the trauma, there was also a profound sense of gratitude for having been given a second chance at life. Section 9. Triumph over tragedy. The story of Delta Flight 4819 is ultimately a story of survival, resilience, and the power of the human spirit. It is a testament to the extraordinary courage of ordinary people who faced unimaginable circumstances and emerged from the wreckage forever changed. The crash, while a harrowing ordeal, also revealed the very best of humanity: the selfless acts of kindness, the unwavering support of strangers, and the unwavering dedication of those who put their lives on the line to save others. As the investigation continued, the survivors began the long process of healing and rebuilding their lives. They carried with them the memories of that fateful day, both the terrifying and the inspiring. The crash of Delta Flight 4819 would forever be etched in their minds, a reminder of the preciousness of life and the importance of cherishing every moment.